Thank you for the Sabbath day that we are once again united in diving into your word and learning more about the Ark of the Covenant and these lessons that we are grabbing from these stories that we are to learn more. Lord, guide our minds to learn these lessons the way you want us to know, and let your Spirit guide us as we study these things. And be with us in this room here. Be with anyone that is still on the way. Give them journey mercies on the way here, Lord. Bless this Bible study so that we can take away this good information and learn from it and apply it to our lives, Lord. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. So last week, did we start already? Yeah, I started. Oh, okay. So, last week we left off where the ark was taken by the Philistines. So we'll do a quick recap, right? A quick recap of last week's events. So the first thing that happened was that the ark crossed over the river Jordan. We walked into Canaan, which was the promised land, and thus began our journey, right? The first place that they went into was Gilgal. And then from there, Joshua took Israel and the rest of them into Jericho. God gave them a victory there. And as they kept moving forward, we finally made it to Shiloh, or Shiloh, however you want to say it. And the ark was there for some time as well. And then we had many things that happened in 1 Samuel chapter 2 and chapter 4 that we read last week, which was very, very in-depth and a lot of information about Israel falling into apostasy and abominations in the sanctuary itself by Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas. And where we ended was where they took the ark into war with the Philistines. And they were all cut down. So Hophni and Phinehas were killed. The ark was taken. Eli heard the news of what had transpired, and he also keeled over and died himself. That was the end of chapter 4. So, now we're going to go to chapter 5. 1 Samuel chapter 5, and continue with our story here, the journey. Because now the ark has been taken away from Israel and is now in the hands of the Philistines. And there's a significance here that is very clear. And that significance is that God always sends prosperity and adversity according to obedience or transgression of the law that's contained within the ark. So the Philistines are going to find out in a very bad way what transgressing the law of God really means. So go ahead and open up your Bibles, chapter 5. 1 Samuel chapter 5. And we shall continue. Oh yeah, we have plenty of King James version over there. All right.
1 Samuel chapter 5.
I'll start us off here. And the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it to Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. Ooh. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen on his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. So, something just happened here, right? Something just happened here. So we got Ashdod. Okay, so this is the first location the ark was taken to. This is the Philistines. And who is Dagon?
The God of the Philistines.
God of the Philistines, right? God of the Philistines. Now, something interesting has just happened here, right? They brought in the ark and they put it next to their god, the statue of Dagon. Okay. Put it next to the statue. Here's the ark. Put it right here next to this statue. Because now the Philistines are thinking, hey, victory, and our God has given to us. Let's put the ark of the Israelites next to our God. The next morning they rose up and they go into the temple, and what do they see? Dagon's on his face, on the floor. Who did that? How did that happen? Let's keep going. Verse 4. Somebody
I'll read it.
continue there.
And when they arose early on the morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him.
Oh, okay. So this is a new day, right? This is another day. So first thing, Dagon, the first day, fell over. They came, picked him back up, put him in back where he was. The next day they come in, his hands are cut off, and his head's cut
And
off.
his head.
Behead. All right. So now these guys are getting concerned, right? What's going on here? Let's go. Verse 5.
Therefore neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day.
Okay. Now that's funny, right? So that temple, they refused to go back to it, is what it's saying here. They did not ever go back to it until this day. They just were like, whoa, we don't know what happened. We're scared. We're not going back in there because we're going to get cut down. This is profound here, okay? So, verse 6.
But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them, and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof.
Now that's the answer right there, right? Why didn't they go back? Because they were all dead. They were all killed. But here's a question I have. What is emerods? Emerods.
Hemorrhoids.
That's all.
What, really?
Yeah.
It is?
Really?
Yeah.
That's what that, okay.
That's what the Egyptians had.
Emerods.
Emeralds in the curse.
Wow.
I did not know that. So I am writing that down. Okay.
But you can prove me wrong.
Alright, so emerods means
Some boiler or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Problems. Bowel problems. Okay. Alright. Verse 7.
Yeah, it says an archaic term for hemorrhoids.
Okay.
It can also be translated as tumors in the KJV, as in the Revised Version.
Am I right?
It says hemorrhoids in the archaic term.
Okay, so that's
Archaic, I mean, how much
that's
more
what
can you
happened
get?
to them. Okay.
Let me see what
That is pretty bad. Alright. Verse 7. Anybody?
I wouldn't like that.
I read.
And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, what shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, Let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto Gath. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about thither. And it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emeralds in their secret parts.
Oh, that confirms it right there.
Yeah, I read that again, and it was like, hey, there's that word again, and then it says secret parts, and I was like, what?
Yep,
Mm.
now you know.
No.
Therefore, they sent the ark of God to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of God came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us and our people.
See, so these guys already, the news had already carried over.
Mhm.
The people of Ekron already knew, okay, look, Ashdod has been wiped out. Gath has been wiped out. And they had Nimrods. And now we're like, hey, we can't take this anymore. You guys take it. And when the ark gets to Ekron, the people there are already scared. You know, hey, wait a minute. These guys are trying to destroy us. What's going on here? So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines. And I like this right here. This is interesting. I found this very interesting. They gathered all the lords of the Philistines and said, Send away the ark of God of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not and our people, for there was deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there.
Mm.
And the men that died were
Not
were smitten with emerods, and the cry of the city went up to heaven.
Mm.
So we're getting a lot of destruction here, right? The Philistines and their little cities are getting beat down, cursed with emerods and death, of course, because they took the ark. But it's not because they took the ark, it's because they have in possession the law, and they are transgressors of the law. So instead of being blessed like they would have been if they were adherers to the law, they get cut down. They get cut down. But yeah, it's funny that verse 11, right? They have this gathering to see what they're going to do. And actually, this wasn't the verse I was thinking of. It's in the next chapter, where what I see here is that the Philistines are having more of a. It almost seems like they're more faithful than the Israelites at the time, because they truly believe this is God and He's doing this, and let's do something about it, right? Well, Israel was just like, hey, let's go get the chest, because it would give us victory in all of this as occurred. So, let's keep going to chapter 6. Chapter 6, 1 Samuel. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. Remember we were looking at Numbers last week? 7. Here's again. 7, right? 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do to the ark of the Lord? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to his place. And they said, If ye send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Then ye shall be healed, for it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then said they, What shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden emerods and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For one plague was on you all and your lords.
And on your lords.
Okay, so what does that mean? 5 golden emerods? Do you know what that means?
Hemorrhoids?
Is that what that's saying there? 'Cause now
So,
I'm
like,
confused.
They
It says that-
5 balls of gold. Recently.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
it says a
yeah.
plague that was broken out. When I look
How
at
do you
the
make
dictionary,
that
a
into
plague
gold?
that was broken out on the Philistines. They didn't define what it was actually. They just said a plague which was broken out on the Philistines.
Yeah, but the emeralds we just discovered are hemorrhoids.
That's what we read. And now it says 5 golden emeralds.
Emeralds.
You know, they just make it.
What is this? What is this? I don't understand.
Are they supposed to take some hemorrhoids and plate them in gold and
Says
some
that
rice and
tumor.
plate them in gold?
It says a tumor raised up, swelling. You know.
So 5.
But I also have something, you know, like I get a cup.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something here called, well, in Jamaica we call it wax and cannon, something like that. I'm wondering if it is something like that.
Mm. So they cut a piece
Like,
off.
like it just be something.
Yeah, they cut a piece off and plate it in gold, I guess. I don't know.
No, maybe they just make something. Maybe it's a round thing, like the doctors would know that it's a round thing, and they just make it like that.
This is strange.
It says right here, it says, and put the jewels of gold which ye returned him for a trespass offering in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away that it may go.
Which verse? Is
That's
that?
in verse 8.
Oh, okay, but that's further down. So in addition to this, we're getting pieces of gold. 5 golden emeralds and 5 golden mice. Mice.
Yeah, but it says
Yeah.
for the trespass offering.
Yeah, that's
Well, I have a commentary here.
okay.
It says, it's from Signs of the Times,
Signs of
January 12, 1882.
Jan 12.
1882. Yeah. And it says, the Philistines hoped by their offerings to appease the wrath of God, but they were ignorant of the one great sacrifice, which alone can secure the sinful man to divine favor. Those gifts, which were the golden emeralds and the golden mice, those gifts were powerless to atone for sin, for the offers did not, through them, express faith in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So the sanctuary language right there.
Mm-hmm. No repentance.
Yeah, they just wanted to use the
Mhm.
gift so that they will be.
Faith by works.
There's a quote for verse 4 that talks about the emeralds and the golden mice in Patriarchs and Prophets, page 587. It says, to ward off or to remove a plague, it was anciently the custom among the heathen to make an image in gold, silver, or other material of that which caused the destruction, or of the object or part of the body specially affected. This was set up on a pillar or in some conspicuous place, and was supposed to be an effectual protection against the evils thus presented.
Okay.
So is that why Nebuchadnezzar made the image in gold too? Not only to.
Yeah, it says make images of the emeralds and images of your mice that mar the
So
land.
that clears it up a bit, because that means that is literal.
Yeah, it's
they
literal
gold plated
representations of the emeralds as the hemorrhoids. So they were probably like balls, like round balls, and then mice, gold shaped like mice, whatever.
Or dead mice that they gold plated.
I think somehow, I mean, this is First Samuel, right?
Yes.
So if we go back to the Exodus when they were traveling and they were bitten by serpents, Moses was told to build a brazen
It's
serpent
bronze.
and lift it up, and those who look will be healed, So the Lord established that for the healing and to test the faith of those who were stung by the serpents in the wilderness. And somehow I see now where Satan has a counterfeit. Because God
He counters
started it,
everything.
okay, you were bitten by serpents, build a brazen altar, and right? And you'll be able to be healed through that, and we see the heathen now practicing that thing where put something up, look at it, and you'll receive healing, you'll get protection. So I think this is what we're looking at is a counterfeit of what God told Moses.
So we have the counterfeit once again, right? So 5 golden emeralds and 5.
What was your source, Sister Crystal?
Mhm.
What was your source?
Oh, it was Patriarchs and Prophets, page 587.
587, right? Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Didn't you said you had Bible commentary earlier?
Yeah,
Was that-
my Bible has the Ellen White commentary.
Oh, on
for
the
each
side,
verse.
on the side. Okay, so it wasn't the Bible, the book, Bible commentary.
No, it's not PC.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
SP.
All right, all right. Let us continue. Let's see. What verse are we on? 4? 4.
Verse
5.
4.
5. Okay.
5.
Wherefore ye shall make images of your emerods, and images of your mice that mar the land, and ye shall give glory unto the God of Israel. Peradventure he will lighten his hand from off you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. So, yeah, exactly what was stated, right? That they thought that giving these little gifts would clear them and appease the God, right? Appease the God. So that's what the gifts were for. Exactly. All right.
They use the term trespass offering.
Trespass offering. Yes.
They use it actually, the Philistine actually use it.
Mm-hmm.
Said, what shall we do?
Yeah.
Something like
As a
that.
trespass offering. Yeah. So that verse connects verse 3 and gives us the answer that we read in the other books there. Very good. Very good. All right. Let's continue. Verse 6. Anybody?
Wherefore then do ye harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts when he had wrought wonderfully among them? Did they not let the people go and they departed? Now therefore make a new cart and take 2 milch kine on which
Something like
there.
a cow.
Huh?
Something like cow.
Yeah.
Like a cow, right?
Yeah, I remember this from Joseph's dream.
Yeah.
On which there hath come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their cobs home from them.
So we're going to separate the kine from, these are cow, right? Cow.
Yeah.
So we got
Yeah,
2
yeah.
cow that hath no yoke. So that means they've never been put to work, right? Is that
Yeah,
what that's saying?
they've never
So
had
we got-
anything
Tie the
going
cart
wrong
to
with
the
it.
kine. It was the art there. They had faith.
There's my kine,
Not bad.
But
No
with
yoke.
that,
No yoke. So they've never been put to work, right?
that's
So
been.
he has a problem with his left foot there. Okay. So too many. Tying them to their cow. Bring their cow. Okay, and their
If you
little.
don't lose it, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Their little babies, right, were set away. Okay, so sort of like that, right? So the calves were set away from the parents. And this is significant, we're going to find out a few verses down, because mother cows, like mother bears, don't like being pulled away from their children. Don't like being away from their children. And the baby calves, of course, also want to go back to the parents. So let's keep going and we'll get the answer to what's going on here, right? Bring their calves home from them, take them away from them, and take them back to the stable, I guess, right? And take the ark of the Lord, lay it upon the cart, put the jewels of gold which ye return him for a trespass offering, in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away that it may go. And see if it goeth up by the way of his own coast to Beth Shemesh. Then he hath done us this great evil. So now they're saying, okay, we're going to let the cart go. So there's a cart, right? Cart, and we're gonna put the ark on top of the cart, right? So they're saying, okay, let these two cows go towards Beth Shemesh on their own. So, yeah, okay. Because then we'll know that it was the God of Israel that did these things to us. Because the idea is what? We have Mama Cow who doesn't want to be away from the kids. And they're taking the kids back here and telling the Mama Cow to go here. Mama Cow's going to want to turn back around to the children. Now they're saying if the cows go this way, then we know that it was the God of Israel that did these things to us. Because a normal cow isn't going to run off on his own with the children that left behind, right?
Mm.
So let's keep going. Verse 10. And the men did so, took the two milch kine, tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they laid the ark of Israel of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold and the images of their emerods. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Beth Shemesh, and went along the highway, lowing as they went. And that means crying. They were,
They weren't happy about
they
it.
weren't happy about it, right? Because they're little babies. We want to go to our babies. But they kept going regardless, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Beth Shemesh.
Mm.
So
That's
there they
symbolic.
go. So that is symbolic, right? So
Right, not turning to the right nor the left.
you're on to something. What verse? Where does that come from? Where does that?
That I would have to look up.
Fix this here. It's bad. Made it worse. Whatever.
She's looking for a verse that describes don't turn left or the right.
Yeah. Do you know that one?
And there's supposed to be a voice from the right and the left. Is that what we're talking about?
I'm not sure. I just knew that sounded familiar. I was thinking of like not turning off of the path, like the straight path, the narrow path,
Mm.
not turning away to destruction, either to the right or the left. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay. The path of destruction is wide. Did you have something?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
Maybe early writings.
All right. Well, when you find it, we'll
Yeah.
come back to it. Let's see. What verse were we on? 13. 13. Anybody who wants to read verse 13, please.
They of Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley. And they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark and rejoiced to see it.
And the ark came into the field of Joshua of Beth Shemite and stood there, where there was a great stone, and they clave the wood of the cart and offered the kind of burnt offering unto the Lord. So, what just happened here? What just happened here?
There's actually
Gang got stuck?
a bunch of.
No, they offered them up as an offering. They were killed.
There's actually a lot of scriptures that talk about not turning to the right or left.
And it happens that they claim the wood of the cart. They got the wood, they use the
So
wood.
they used the wood of the cart to make the fire, right? Is that what they're saying? Yeah.
Is that what happened?
And then they clave the wood of the cart and offered the kind a burnt offering unto the Lord. Wow.
rejoiced that they saw the ark, so they offered it as a burnt offering. I think that's what happened because the verse before, they rejoiced to see the ark, so as a result, they offered an offering.
Wow.
So that's kind this is kind of weird, right? Because it seems like a sanctuary type of service, but not, right? They did a sacrifice, right? They took the 2 cows, sacrificed them. I guess this should be an altar, right?
Proverbs 4:27 is the shortest one, and it says, "Turn not to the right hand nor to the left; remove thy foot from evil." But there's several,
And
and they're all
right?
talking about not turning to the right or the left from what God's telling you to do, kind of thing. You know,
What was that?
it all falls in the same category. Proverbs 4:27.
4:27. Okay, yeah. So further insight of that was that the calves, right, straight to Beth Shemesh, and they did not turn to the left or to the right. They had angels who were guiding them. The angels were guiding them to their destination.
Wow.
And we can read that Spirit of Prophecy. Let's see. There's no reference here.
And while you're looking for that, in Matthew 7:13 and 14, Jesus said, "Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it." So when you look at that comparison, you realize that if the gate is straight and it's narrow, then it doesn't give you much option to go to the left or to the right. You know, you have to be pretty much on a straight, narrow path, which would keep you in a certain restricted way, moving progressively. So when we see, you know, that happen in our spiritual life, where these 2 beasts, they're being led and they're not veering off to the left or to the right. They're pretty much straight on, going on that pathway that God wants them to go, and He wants to lead us the same way. We don't have much turning. I think the psalmist says there's no shadow of turning with Him, you know, because He keeps you on that straight and narrow path all the time.
Yeah.
And
And
it's that
usually,
shadow of turning.
yeah,
Never understood that before, now I understand.
the angel, Ellen White mentioned, like, even when those 2 guys were smitten down by trying to touch the ark, when it was, Ellen says there's angels guiding, so there's no need for you to try to steady. So even the cow, the guide, whatever, you know, it should be under the guidance of angels also.
And this was after this history, so he should have known that God had led beasts that had it on them, where they were taken away from their young. So if they could be able to restrain themselves from losing their young and being led, then Hosea should have known that the same God that protected the ark in this history, years later, the time of David, should have known that God can also protect it the same. But he forgot.
From something so small as just falling over.
And
Here,
the
we
fact
have
that they
complete
said,
theft, right?
and the fact that they said that it had to be 2 kind that had not been yoked. That means that's a symbolism of no sin, that they're pure, and so the angels would have to be able to be touching something pure, right? Because they can't be contaminated with sin either. I don't know, that's something that came to my mind.
Yeah, it's in accordance with what,
Maybe that's reaching.
it's in accordance with some of the things that we are learning from the sanctuary, that these animals must be without, has never been yoked or something like that. It's some free will thing. I think they might have heard that before, and as I say, it's a counterfeit, so maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's true too, because as we read throughout the Bible, we know that the heathen, remember when they were in chapter 4 or 5 we were reading last week, when the ark came into the camp after the two boys captured the ark and brought it to the camp, Israel shouted, and the heathen heard the shout and said, man, something, yeah. So they were not so far into the God of Israel. They knew, they just kept to their side of the fence, wanting to do their own thing, but they knew. The fact that immediately they're like, nope, the God is striking us.
They definitely knew, especially when you go back a couple of verses where they say, remember the hardening of Pharaoh, so they knew all about Egypt. They knew everything that happened over there. They knew that the God of Israel did this and brought them out. So they specifically told their lords, right, hey, remember them and don't be like them. Let's get this thing away from us. It's bringing us all this terror, right? So let me read from Spirit of Prophecy. Here gives a little more insight. So the Ark of God was kept 7 months, right? They had overcome the Israelites and had taken the Ark of God, wherein they supposed their power consisted, and thought that they should ever be in safety and have no more fear of the armies of Israel. But in the midst of their joy at their success, a wailing was heard all over the land, and the cause was at length credited to the Ark of God. It was borne from place to place in terror, and destruction from God followed its course, until the Philistines were greatly perplexed to know what to do with it. Angels who accompanied it guarded it from all harm. And the Philistines did not dare to open the chest, for their god Dagon had met with such a fate that they had feared to touch it or have it near them. They called for their priests and diviners and inquired of them what they should do with the ark of God. They advised them to send it back to the people to whom it belonged, and send it with a costly trespass offering, which if God would be pleased to accept, they would be healed. They should also understand that God's hand was upon them, because they had taken his ark, which belonged alone to Israel. Now, some were not in favor of this. It was too humiliating to carry back the ark, and they urged that no one of the Philistines would dare venture his life to carry the ark of God of Israel, which had brought such death upon them. Their counselors entreated the people not to harden their hearts, as the Egyptians and Pharaoh had done, and caused still greater afflictions and plagues to come upon them. And as they were all afraid to take the ark of God, they advised them, saying, now therefore make a cart, bring 2 milk kine, on which there hath come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home with them. And take the ark of the Lord, lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold which ye return him for a trespass offering, in a coffer by the side thereof, and sent it away, that it may go. And see, if it goeth up by the way of his own coast to Beth Shemesh, then he had done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us. It was a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, took the 2 milk kine, tied them to the cart, and shut up the calves at home. And the kine took the straight way to Beth Shemesh, and went along the highway, plowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. So, very interesting there. So, like we were just saying, right? Look at the Egyptians. Don't be like them. Let's give this trespass offering, as so was the way of the heathen appeasing their gods, right? Here's this gift. Please don't hurt us anymore. So the Philistines knew that the cows could not be induced to leave their young calves at home unless they should be urged by some unseen power. Their cows went direct to Beth Shemesh, lowing for their cows, yet going directly away from them. The lords of the Philistines followed after the ark until the border of Beth Shemesh. They dared not trust that sacred chest wholly to the cows. They feared that if any evil thing happened to it, even greater calamities would come upon them. They knew not that angels of God accompanied the ark and guided the cows in their course to the place where it belonged. Yeah.
Man.
The people of Beth Shemesh were reaping in the field, and when they saw the ark of God upon the cart, drawn by the cows, they were greatly rejoiced. They knew that it was the work of God. The cows drew the cart containing the ark to a large stone and stood still themselves. The Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the offering of the Philistines, and they offered the cart and the cows which had borne the sacred ark, and the offering of the Philistines unto God as a burnt sacrifice. The lords of the Philistines returned to Ekron, and the plague was stayed. So, just like we read, yeah, that is exactly what happened. The cart, they took the wood, burned it up, they took the kine, burned them up, offered it as a sacrifice. The gifts as well, the gold and everything, gold mice, Nimrods. And they thank God for bringing the ark back.
My son.
Wow. Yes. What was your name?
Hi.
Ken.
Kid. Oh. I didn't remember. Yeah, help me open the door. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. The ark now is in possession with the people of Beth Shemesh, right?
Mhm.
What verse did we leave off of?
16 is what we're on now.
1 Samuel chapter 6,
60.
verse 16. Verse 16. Alright, so verse 16. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And so they watched the delivery of the ark back, and they went back home. And these are the golden emerods, which the Philistines returned for a trespass offering unto the Lord. One for Ashdod, one for Gaza, one, for Ashkelon, one, for Gath, one, and for Ekron, one. So there's 2 other places, right? So Gaza and Ashkelon. So we went from Ashdod, Gath, Ekron, but there was 2 other places that it looks like also had some terror happen, right? Or it must have passed through, and the people were also destroyed. So they gave a trespass offering for each one of their cities. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines, belonging to the 5 lords, both of fenced cities and of country villages, even unto the great stone of Abel, whereon they set down the ark of the Lord, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Joshua the Beth-Shemite. So that was the guy that found it, right? He saw it first, he brought it in, and it was put on that stone. I guess we'll call this a stone.
Whoa.
Something like that, okay. Now, what happens in verse 19?
Mm-hmm.
He smote the men of Beth Shemesh, which because they had looked into the ark of the Lord, even he smote of the people 50,010 men. And the people lamented because the Lord had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter.
Wait a minute. 50,000?
50,000 and
70.
a score is 20, yeah, 67.
50,070.
5,070.
Okay, so this is pretty great right here because we saw last week that Israel losing the battle against the Philistines when they brought the ark out, as they shouldn't have, 30,000 were slaughtered. Now we got the ark back, and just taking a peek inside, 50,000 people get wiped out, and then what? 2 scores more?
3 scores.
70 more.
70 more?
It was 50,070 people.
Wow. Okay, so that whole town is basically wiped out, huh?
Now, it's interesting that it doesn't say that God killed the Philistines. He plagued them with tumors and mites. But the Israelites, he killed.
Because they knew better.
They knew better.
They knew better. Well, we actually read over here that in Ashdod, which is where Dagon, their statue god or whatever was there, right? There was a great wiping out there. That was in verse
4?
chapter 5, right? Chapter 5. Yeah.
Because, I mean, when it reached into Beth
6.
Shemesh,
Verse 6.
Yeah.
verse 15 tells us that
Yeah,
it's
he
the
destroyed them.
Levites that took down the ark
Yeah.
of the Lord and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone, one that we're reading about now. And we know from Moses' time, Aaron, remember at Sinai, when the Lord made that appeal, when Moses made that appeal, those who are on the Lord's side come over, only the Levites responded to the call. So he blessed them in a special way to be the ones that will officiate in the sanctuary. So I'm just thinking, what kind of Levites are these who they had the authority from the Lord to handle it, but why would they go a step further to open it? And I'm thinking to myself, is it because the Ark of the Covenant is usually in the most holy place, but because the sanctuary was rejected, like what we learned last week, now we don't have the structure of the sanctuary anymore with the holy place, the most holy. So this ark now it's in an open environment, which only one person was able to see it after it was first constructed. On the Day of Atonement, the high priest went and did the sprinkling. Now it's in an open area, and I think it just opened people to be tempted and curious.
They felt they had.
Wonder if there's
Well,
still
I-
anything in the ark.
I'm thinking that it wasn't the Levites that did that. It says the men of Beth Shemesh. It doesn't say the Levites looked into it. It said the men did. And I can see them not trusting God to protect what the contents and wanting to look in, like she said, to see if everything was still in there.
So further insight on that, let me read Spirit of Prophecy. The men of Beth Shemesh were curious to know what great power. Now this is interesting. They weren't looking to see if stuff was missing. They were looking to see what great power could be in that ark. So they weren't even looking for what should be there. Instead, they want, once again, it's the thinking, the idolatrous type of thinking, right? What is in there that's so powerful, right? Not, oh, wait, did they take God's law out of it? Did they take, anything out of it?
Aaron's rod.
Yeah, we're not looking for that. No. Hey, wait, what is this great power that causes all these things down in the Philistines?
And Patriarchs and Prophets, page 589 says, all Israel had been taught to regard the ark with awe and reverence. When required to remove it from place to place, the Levites were not so much as to look upon it. Only once a year was the high priest permitted to behold the ark of God. Even the heathen Philistines had not dared to remove its coverings. Angels of heaven unseen ever attended it in all its journeyings, and the irreverent daring of the people at Beth Shemesh was speedily punished. Mhm.
So it was covered.
It was covered.
Yeah, it
Mm.
And further, they looked upon the ark alone as being so powerful, and were not accrediting the power to God. Which goes back to last week, right? This was the whole reason it was taken away from them in the first place. Because they looked at it in an idolatrous fashion. This chest will give us the power to win this war. Go grab the chest and bring it out and we'll smoke the Philistines. But that's not what happened.
And it says in the Bible commentaries 2, page 1011, it says a whole bunch more. It talks about only one sacrifice can secure divine favor. Oh wait, I was going to look at the next one. I'm not going to read it all, but you guys can go to it if you want to and read it on your own. But I just wanted to point out this one sentence. It says, the spirit of irreverent curiosity still exists. The spirit of irreverent curiosity still exists among the children of men. Many are eager to investigate those mysteries which infinite wisdom has seen fit to leave unrevealed. Having no reliable evidence from which to reason, they base their theories on conjecture. And then it goes on and on from there. But I don't know if you probably don't want me to read. It's like 3 big paragraphs of information. So
Yeah.
if you want to go to it later,
I have the same.
check it out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, basically it's saying that, there are things that the Lord leaves unrevealed to his people, and when we pry that open, then we have the same spirit as the men of Bethlehem.
Okay, yes. All right, yeah. What verse did we stop at?
19.
19. Okay. Let me read a little bit more before we go down there because this is pretty good right here. So let's see. None but the men scarcely appointed for the purpose could look upon the ark, divested of its coverings without being slain. So the high priest, right? For it was as though looking upon God himself. And as the people gratified their curiosity and opened the ark to gaze into its sacred recesses, which the heathen idolaters dared not to do, the angels attending the ark slew above 50,000.
Wow. So the angels are the ones that swung.
The angels that were with it the entire time. The same ones that up here cut off the hands and the head of Dagon. And the people of Beth Shemesh were afraid of the ark. And they said, who is able to stand before this holy Lord God? And to whom shall he go up from us? Let's continue, verse 19.
I just read 19, where he smote the men of Beth Shemesh.
Oh, right, okay.
So
Yeah.
verse 20 is what she just ended the quote with. It says, and the men of Beth Shemesh said, who is able to stand before this holy Lord God? And to whom shall he go up from us? And they sent the messengers to the inhabitants of Kirjath Jearim, saying,
I see that 5 times
the Philistines have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come ye down and fetch it up to you.
Continue at least the verse 1.
And the men of Kirjath Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord. See the difference now? You gotta sanctify a man, because remember when we had learned in the Day of Atonement that before the high priest went into the most holy place, he had to first atone for himself. He was to kill a bullock and
For himself
and his family before he could go in on the Day of Atonement to do the sacrifice for Israel. And so we have Eliezer now picked out. He is sanctified first to be able to house and accommodate the ark, because they know.
Yep.
So Abinadab, and we're now in Kirjath Jearim.
Kirjath Jearim. So they took the ark and put it in his house, right? And it was there to pass while the ark abode in Kirjath Jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years. And all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, if ye do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, and then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hands of the Philistines. And the children of Israel put away Baalim and Ashtaroth, and served the Lord only.
Amen.
So up to this time, they were still in apostasy, still worshiping the same Canaanite gods that they had been messing with all this time. And now that the ark has been returned, they finally listened to Samuel and put away their gods, right? The other gods. Very good, very good. So 20 years was the ark in the house of Eleazar, right? Abinadab. And that's what, 20 years. So this is, it never went back to Shiloh. It didn't go back to Shiloh where it was taken from, right? And that's where the sanctuary was at. They didn't take it back there. It stayed here because God's providence, He wants it there. And from there, the next time it goes anywhere else is with David.
Mm-hmm.
So it's here for quite some time, almost like punishment, right? We're not going to take it back to where you guys were doing all those abominations. So, for 20 years, the Hebrews were in the power of the Philistines, and they were greatly humbled and repented of their sins. And Samuel interceded for them, and God was again merciful to them. And the Philistines made war with them, and the Lord again wrought in a miraculous manner for Israel, and they overcame their enemies. So, that is the way back, right? So we were on, last week we were on a lot about the ark being taken away. This week was the journey back to Israel. God once again blessed His people, but the ark is not going back to where it was. It's going to stay here, where we have a sanctified family to take care of it for the meantime, right? Until the next chapter. So, I saw something interesting. Since, this study is more about the ark itself, not just the whole journey of it, right? I found something interesting in 1 Samuel 21. Samuel 21.
Goodness.
No,
Today I put this in my Bible, just stuck it in there, and I noticed that we were in 1 Samuel, and I opened it up, and it's in 1 Samuel 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so read verse 9 for us, since you're there.
All right. And the priest said, the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom thou slewest in the valley of Elah, behold, it is here wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If thou wilt take that, take it, for there is no other save that here. And David said, there is none like that, give it to me.
So I know we skipped a lot of chapters, right? This is David now, but the sword of Goliath traveled with the ark. And that was something that I saw and was like, really? Look at this. Amazing. So it went with the sanctuary, I guess, right? And then we'll end up seeing it also in Solomon's temple when we get there. But I found that very, very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Behind the ephod.
Yes, indeed. All right, so the next piece, we're going to jump around a little bit, right? This is essentially the end of the journey of the ark into the hands of the Philistines and back to Israel. The next phase is going to be given to David, basically, and there's a little bit that happens there too. So, if we want to continue, let's go and jump to 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 3.
I discovered, this doesn't matter to anything else that we're talking about, but I just since we were right there and it was talking about the sword of Goliath or whatever, I discovered that in the New International Version, it says that somebody other than David slew Goliath.
Right.
Somebody named Elkanah or somebody like
No,
that.
that was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was like, the whole world knows that David killed Goliath. Even non-Christians know that David killed Goliath. You know?
That was in the NIV, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I discovered that by accident.
There's yeah, I don't want to sidetrack too much on that.
Yeah, I
but,
was just like, I just
Hebrews
remembered that.
also is something that really, really gets to me about the NIV because I believe it's chapter 12 where it talks about Jesus in the sanctuary.
Right.
It places him in the wrong place. So basically, if you're studying 1844 with the NIV,
Chapter 9,
and you read that 9, right? 9, yeah. Christ is not in the holy place; he's in the most holy place. So, for us as Adventists, October 22nd, 1844, you can't prove it with the book of Hebrews in an NIV version. It puts Jesus in the most holy place. And we all know that October 22nd, he went into the most holy place, so he wasn't there. If we look that verse up in our Bibles now, it says he's in the holy place.
Well, it says that the decree to rebuild Jerusalem is 538 or 539 or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't 457 BC. I discovered that because I was going. The lady I live with that I take care of, they're studying out of the chronological NIV at her church, and I used to go with her and to take her to the Bible study, and I discovered that the timeline is wrong because that throws off the whole prophecy.
Error, right?
Yeah.
But sidetracking here. Let's
Yeah.
go
Anyway,
back.
that's enough of that.
1 Kings chapter 3.
Yeah.
And I'll set this up real quick here. Let me just read a little bit from the Spirit of Prophecy. First Spirit of Prophecy, if you want to follow along. 403. It's chapter 36, the Ark of God, right? So this whole study is really based on this. 36. Chapter 36. The Ark of God. So the ark remained in the house of Ben-Hadad until David was made king. He gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000, and went to bring up the ark of God. They set the ark upon a new cart and brought it out of the house of Ben-Hadad. Now, I think my notes are wrong here because 1 Kings 3 is the dream that David has, so it doesn't talk about Uzzah, right? So that's probably the bigger event that happens in between here, Uzzah. So I'll just read that here. They set the ark upon a new cart, brought it out of the house of Abinadab. Uzzah and Ahio, sons of Abinadab, drove the cart. Okay, that's interesting, because I didn't know that.
Whereabouts are you reading?
Spirit of Prophecy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Is it still 403 point? It's 403.
It's 410.
Oh,
410, so down a few paragraphs, 410. But Uzzah, we were just talking about, he is the son of Abinadab, who was the sanctified house in Kirjath Jearim, where the ark stayed.
And the brother was the,
Ahio.
yeah.
Yeah, the other one there. Interesting. So, I didn't know that. So they drove the cart. Right? David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord all manner of musical instruments, and when they came to Nacon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. This is where he gets smacked down, right? The anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there, right there, for his error. And there he died before the ark of God. Uzzah was angry with the oxen because they stumbled. He showed a manifest distrust of God, as though he, who had brought the ark from the land of the Philistines, could not take care of it. Angels who attended the ark struck down Uzzah for presuming impatiently to put his hand upon the ark of God. Wow. Yeah. So there was that. Once again, right, what we were talking about, distrust, right? Distrust. All right, let's jump to 1 Kings 3 now and see what we have next here.
Ellen mentioned the reason why he said God was more merciful to the Philistines because they probably didn't know how to, to angle the ark, so he didn't struck them down. I read some place where she mentioned something like that. But Uzzah, he was an Israelite. I mean, he knew better.
And we just talked about the 50,000 that were of Israelites that were struck down for looking at the ark. They knew.
He knew better.
You know, I don't want to jump too far ahead. What, do you know what chapter that's in? This,
Uzzah?
yeah, it was here. Which just
I
got
mean,
Second
Samuel,
Samuel
right?
6.
6. There we go, yeah. Yeah, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. David arose, went with all the people with him from Baal of Judah to bring up hence the ark of God, whose name is called by the Lord, the name of the Lord of hosts that dwelleth between the cherubims. They set the ark of God upon a new cart, brought it out of the house of Abinadab, that was in Gibeah. And Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drove the new cart. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeah, accompanying the ark of God. And Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even harps and psalteries and timbrels and the cornets and on cymbals. And when they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error. And there he died by the ark of God. Here's the part I wanted to get to. And David was displeased because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah, and he called the name of that place Perezuzah to this day.
what does that mean? The Lord has made a breach. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, but I think this was like almost like a law.
A
Priest, whoever,
punishment.
like even though they carry it, they should not even mess with it. They only could bear it on their shoulder or wherever. You know the ones that they have to, yeah, it has to stick in the side of the, yeah. They only could hold it on their shoulder
And not actually
and
touch
they
it.
cannot
Yeah.
mess with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say that it's a breach. It was well known.
Yeah. I think it's like, a breach, yeah, that's,
That word, I don't understand that
it's
word.
kind of a heavy word to use,
Yeah.
I think.
Isn't it like a broken promise or something?
Like a breach of contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Lord put
But
the breach on
in
him.
this
though.
way, it was a
That's-
punishment, right? He was
Mhm.
punishing, right? He was punishing him for touching it. So breach is a heavy word, because it almost, like you're saying, a breach of a contract or something.
But they weren't carrying it with poles, they had it hooked to an oxen cart.
But the poles were there. If we're following what the Bible tells us about the poles.
Because you don't remove the
Because you
poles.
don't remove the poles, right? So it has to still be there. They just put it on top of the oxen to carry it along. It must have been a heavy thing. Yeah, I agree. That's a
The poles hadn't been there, they had to touch it to lift it up onto the ark,
That's true,
and they
yeah.
would have gotten fried right then.
yeah, exactly. So we have the poles, definitely. We have the poles.
Because I figured the poles wouldn't be there, but if God struck Uzzah down for touching the ark,
Mhm.
then they had to have carefully put it on the ark using the poles. Otherwise, everybody, the death would have started at the beginning.
Again, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and we'll see even to Solomon's temple, the poles are still there, they were never taken out, and it's something that was, I guess, mandated with Moses.
I think it was, I mean,
Correct.
the directions, I think it said
Yeah, that they're
to
not
leave
removed.
them.
Mhm. Oh, we're gonna study that next week, I guess, yeah, we won't be there today, but hold that thought, because there is an answer to that actually, which I found very interesting that we get in Spirit of Prophecy. And it goes along with a few other verses that tells us why it was placed this way, because they didn't actually remove it all the way. It's, the language there is a little funny. They brought it forth, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. There's a reason why they did it this way, and it's quite interesting. That gives us another sort of a diagram of the sanctuary itself. But you'll see that Solomon's temple, the sanctuary, is organized slightly different than the tabernacle, which was very interesting too. Very interesting. So we were on 2 Samuel 6. Verse 9. Okay. So David was afraid of the Lord that day. How shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not remove the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite. The ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. So, there, once again, faithful to the law, you are blessed. Transgressing the law of the ark,
Mm-hmm.
you are cut down. And the Lord blessed Obed-Edom. But yeah, I find that interesting that David would say he was afraid. How would the ark of the Lord come to me? He saw this man fall right in front of him, right? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe, I think David right there had a little bit of where he's thinking, maybe there's something that, maybe there's like a sin in me that I haven't really, asked forgiveness for. Or something, maybe I'm not pure enough to take care of this thing at the moment. Let's put it in this guy's house for now, right? We'll think about it later. That's an interesting thing to see there. Spirit of Prophecy says that David knew he was a sinful man. So there's the answer to that. David knew that he was a sinful man, and he was afraid that, like Uzzah, he should in some way be presumptuous and call forth the wrath of God upon himself. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and his household. So there's the answer to that. And it's interesting that David himself, it's funny because you go back and look at Moses, right? Moses transgressed the law at one time and kept him out of the promised land, kept him out of Canaan. David sees that he's a sinful man, stops himself here, but also has something that he wants to do later where the Lord says, no, you're not going to do this. Your son's going to do this. So we'll see that, because the temple of Solomon should have been the temple of David. But God says, nope, your son's going to make the temple, not you. And it's because of your sinfulness in your life. But we'll get to that, hopefully next time. We have a bit to cover next time, but this kind of sets us up for the next study, which is David, the ark going through to the city of David, where it's going to be its permanent home, finally. After all this journeying through the wilderness, through all these different places, being stolen at one point, given back to the people, we now have a permanent home in the city of David.
Look at the big difference between the curses and the heaviness of God on the Philistines and on that city and all the dead, and God's desire to bless the family. The blessing, God probably said, yes, here is my son. Boom and boom and boom. The blessings just came from God. And David probably saw that and said, I want those blessings.
So
He had seen the hammer of God. But now he saw the windows of heaven opening up, blessing. And I'm sure that the guy felt the presence of God, felt the blessedness of God, but there were physical blessings. And David probably wanted to feel the presence. And when he saw that happen, it made him willing to take the risk.
And I wasn't going to read this till next time, but you made an excellent point that this gives us further hits upon that point further. So I'll just go ahead and read that. So God would teach his people that while his ark was a terror and death to those who transgressed his commandments contained in it, it was also a blessing and strength to those who were obedient to his commandments. So when David heard that the house of Obed-Edom was greatly blessed, and that all that he had prospered, just like you said, because of the ark of God, he was very anxious to bring it to his own city. But before David ventured to move the sacred ark, he sanctified himself to God, and also commanded that all the men in high authority in the kingdom should keep themselves from all worldly business and everything which would distract their minds from sacred devotion. They should sanctify themselves for the purpose of conducting the sacred ark to the city of David. So there it is, right there.
And God, it wasn't just that his crops did well, that there was rain. God blessed. So instead of there being 3 heads on his corn, there was like 10 or 20, so that there was no doubt. all of his cows had 5 calves or whatever it was.
Riches and blessings and yeah, all of that. It was obvious. You walk next to his house and you're like, what is going on over there?
The neighbor's place, his
It's
fields
like-
are green, but this guy's are just luscious.
Like, wow, yeah. So it was an obvious thing. And David, of course, saw that and he was anxious. But he knew he had sin that he needed to clean.
And with that said, I'm just sitting here looking at how that came across in his mind, because you can clearly tell he has read the biblical part. Then here comes the spirit of prophecy now, takes the same word and same transition of the word and everything. And I kind of really like when you study something in the Bible and then you go to the spirit of prophecy, and the only thing she kind of do is just word it a little better than you could put it together, you know?
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm thinking too is, when I profess that I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, because we know the Ark of the Covenant is something that gets close to us as Seventh-day Adventists, because we're the only people on earth, so to speak, that embraces the commandments that was placed in the Ark of the Covenant. So here's the test for us now. When the heathen look on us, do we show forth the blessings that God pronounces on those who are obedient to the law? Because we can just talk about the Sabbath must be kept and all the commandments and so on, but the question is in the back of my mind, am I flourishing in the blessings of God because it's the benefit of someone who is obedient to what was placed in the Ark of the Covenant? When the heathen see me, can they say, man, this guy's not just saying he's a Christian and he goes to church on Saturday and he keeps the Sabbath, but I can clearly tell that his life is blessed.
His life is blessed. Yes, absolutely. That's a lesson that we should definitely take to heart, because obviously God wants to bless His people, but we have to be faithful. We have to be faithful, and if we are just and faithful, He will also be. So, let's close the Sabbath. I think we.
That's the thought I'm leaving with brother. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that you didn't leave us clueless as it relates to the journeys, the different locations, the different things that this chest went through. But as we study, Lord, and as we read, we see that we're going beyond this ancient story and realizing that you're a God who never changes. So here we are bowing before you, acknowledging the end of the Sabbath, the last one for this calendar year. And as we bow before you, Lord, just dawn on us in our Bible study that there are two things that happen with people around this ark, this commandments. We either receive blessings or we experience curse. I'm just asking, Lord, by faith that all of us bowing before you will be on the side of blessings as a result of acknowledging all the commandments that was placed in the Ark of the Covenant. We ask, Lord, that the blessings that we may seek is not limited to figures in the bank and material things on our porch and roof over our heads. We ask that our health, wisdom, even the desire to reflect on the life of Christ momentarily, the desire to pray, the desire to witness, to share our faith, all these other blessings that goes beyond mere material things, may we have those, Lord, so that when the ungodly, the irreligious, the curious ones look on us, may they clearly see that truly we have been with Christ. We thank you, Lord, for Bible study. And we ask that the blessing of the Sabbath, especially how we had that feast to go back over the life of Christ and what he did for us at the cross, and how we had the communion to commemorate his life, his death, and the blessed hope of his soon return. May the Sabbath blessing, Lord, be so rich, so immense for us that it will sustain us not just for a new week, but in 2018. Please bless, please guide, please protect, and above all things, may you purify us of every defilement and sin so that our character can fully reproduce that of Christ. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Thank you.
I heard just